Yeah. What's up, everyone? We are live here with a brand new episode of Spill the Tequila. We have been out of commission for a couple weeks, but we are back with a brand new episode. Got a lot going on. But, you know, I am the Outlaw, John Rocha, joined as always by the king of swag right there, Winston A. Marshall. How are you, Winston?
I'm in sparking mode, baby.
Yeah, man.
Ooh,
we are live.
Like my hangover from last week.
Oh, well, are you still getting hangovers? Well, that's right. You're still drinking. You're still young.
Well, yeah. It's. I'm not that young, but it's mainly because last week we went to a. Oh, you'll appreciate this. Hold on, wait a minute. I'll tell the story, but let me.
Yeah. Oh, there he goes. Oh boy, what's he putting on now? Yes.
So last week, we went to a country bar and did some line dancing. So I had to go ahead and cop my hat. I got a new hat, man. And the problem was they made it seem like it was going to be super expensive. So I decided to bring a flask of Crown Royal Vanilla. Ooh. So the main problem with that was we did order some drinks at that bar. I was hitting the flask the entire time. And the one thing that I don't do when I'm drinking is I never skip food. And I said, y'all, we should stop for some tacos. We should have some pizza. We need to eat something. But
that makes sense.
Ladies in the group were not interested in any of the food. They just wanted to go to the next location when we were done. So next thing I know, after killing almost an entire flask of Crown Royal Vanilla, taking like 3 shots at the bar and 3 beers, I get home and I'm hugging the toilet. Now, I didn't throw up at all, but I was sitting there like I was gonna. Just most of the night, had to have my lady come and check up on me half the time. And then finally, come in the morning, I go to walk the dog out. We're walking. She understands that I'm not feeling well. She's being real gentle on the leash. But all of a sudden, I'm like, bitch, if you don't go ahead and pee right now. And I proceeded to throw up everywhere. Oh! So all I'm saying is that this is what was left of the flask. There was some Crown Royal Vanilla in there, and I just took a shot, and I was like, oh, God, that tastes like last weekend.
That poor dog. I
didn't throw up on the dog. I just threw it. I was like, if you don't hurry up and oh man,
that's good stuff. We got so much going on here today, man. We're gonna be talking about some updates with this critics versus influencer article that the Wrap brought out today that Drew Taylor wrote. Drew, one of the authors I really like, one of the writers I currently like on these websites. Interesting breakdown of that situation, and then we're going to jump into Cynthia Erivo's complaints about some of these fan-made Wicked posters, the P Diddy updates, Drake possibly getting ready to take on Kendrick Lamar again. My God, why? And some more other stuff that we got going on here on Spill the Tequila, and that no subject is off limits when we decide to talk about it. So your Streamlabs and SuperChats, if you want to send in your support and send in your questions, thoughts, and comments that you want us to discuss, the easiest way to get them onto the show is to send them through Streamlabs or SuperChat. You see the Streamlabs address right above Winston's head. It's pinned in the chat. It's in the description of the video, and you all know how to do SuperChats here, Winston. So anything more we need to hit on? Say that again?
SuperChats.
Go
ahead and mosey into them super chats.
David McKimmey says, congratulations on being part of the Critics Choice Association, John. Yes, thank you, David. Yes, this got the email earlier this morning, and I am officially a member of the Critics Choice Association. So
that's
was very
exactly why we had to make sure we took a shot. Congratulations, John.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, it's for the film side, and then apparently I have to apply to the TV side separately. So I will be doing that very soon as well, but very excited to be part of the Critics' Choice Association and excited to see what this opens up for what I'm doing now, and we'll see. But everyone's been really, really kind with the comments, so thank you all so much. Thank you, David. But let's get to it, man. Speaking of criticism and what have you, let's get to this. And I brought a cheesy picture with me. That's right, critics versus influencers. Oh my God, pictures! Yes. So the Wrap, as I said, published a feature titled "Who Needs Critics When You Have Influencers?" Which was written by Drew Taylor, as I said. And this is an interesting situation to bring this article out in Winston, right as we've seen the fall and crash of Joker 2, and we've seen Megalopolis come through and crash as well. And Terrifier 3 comes out and is blowing up the box office amidst all the complaints about children being killed. But this article kind of dives into how studios are starting to open preview windows for influencers and not inviting critics to go and see it, just for influencers. This has been slowly kind of happening over the last few years. You've seen more and more influencers showing up at screenings with critics. Now it seems like they are going to lean in heavily onto the influencer side of things, and then maybe they'll create screening events for critics depending on the movie. So what are your thoughts on this, Winston? Is this a reaction to the changing of the business, but also the financial issues that are happening here all over the entertainment business? What are your thoughts on it?
I mean, if we're just being honest, we got to remember that these bigwigs at the top of all of this, they honestly don't understand how the landscape works. I think that you should have some space for influencers to do that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that whatsoever. But to try and say that they are more important than critics is kind of ridiculous. Your influencers, a vast majority of them do not do anything other than shill, so that they can get clicks on the thing and get more access. Some are take it very seriously, and I do appreciate that mighty kindly. But if we're talking specifically about whether or not the movie's going to be good or not, now, mind you, you do need to call out some of these critics that just want to hate on everything. If it's a superhero thing, they're going to be like, "Go F yourself." They can get bent. They need Jesus. But the rest of them, for the most part, are the ones that are consistent. They should go ahead and be trusted. And so I think to try and cut them out just doesn't make sense. I do think you need to handle both. You give enough space for some influencers to maybe go to premiere the same way you let some critics do that. But you just have to be careful, because you got to remember, a large majority of the people that get famous on the internet, the ones that make it to the tippity top, most of them have some sort of credit to them, but a large number of them in between, they're just saying whatever bullshit they can to try and get attention and clicks. And if that's all you want, great, but don't think that that's going to save your studio.
I mean, you're sliding into Obama territory, but I appreciate the yes.
I mean, Obama could have been from the South. You don't know no better.
I don't know what his birth certificate said. No, just joking. I hear you with critics and influencers. Yeah, I mean, like I said, we know influencers. We've worked with influencers in the past. Certainly, some critics have become influencers over becoming critics and have rescinded their membership in organizations like this. But this is all about the studios looking at the landscape and going, look, we've got to trick as many people as possible into coming to see our movies, even because we know our movies aren't that strong or some of our movies aren't that good. So let's pay these influencers. And that's where it becomes an issue for me, is if influencers don't reveal from the beginning, I've been paid by Sony or Disney or whatever to review this movie. I got $500 to talk about this movie. You've got to say that, I think, at the beginning of whatever post, whatever video, whatever thing you do there, so people understand how to put your opinions on the movie in a certain prism, and then decide if they want to go see the movie or not. The thing with and you're seeing this divide between critics and influencers, but also between critics and studios. Studios are now starting to see critics as this thing that they can abuse. Unless you're at the top of the pile, they very much like kind of push you to the side if they want to. We don't get all the movies down here in San Diego to screen ahead of time. A lot of the movies we don't, especially the smaller ones, we don't get ahead of time unless you're part of every organization here. So it seems very clearly the studios are doing this in order to make as much money as possible, even from some of their terrible movies, you know?
Yeah, man. I think you got to look at the two. Oh my good Lord. I'd never do that dumbest shit, motherfucker. I'd rather get drunk off a whiskey. It's like I refuse. No.
Yeah.
But I think there is a place for both. I genuinely do. Sure. And I think that what has to be understood is what the difference is. You know what I'm saying? Because like the biggest mistake that the industry made, and a lot of people can probably back this up with what they've seen in their favorite shows and movies at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
The number of hosting jobs that I actually lost out on to influencers, and they have fully fucked it up because they're not hosts. They are people that randomly talk on TikTok or on Instagram or whatever. They post kind of stuff or whatever, but they're not trained to do that. There is a training that is there. So like, for example, there was a couple times where I was up to do some of these Marvel red carpets. And instead they had influencers do it. Like if you don't hit a certain number on socials, they won't even take you seriously, right? And so that being said, a buddy of mine who already had been working with Marvel, he was the one that had put me up. He was like, yeah, it was a nightmare because you're having like Peyton Reed come up, during Quantumania, and this random influencer that has now been pegged as a host there being like, so who are you and what do you have to do with the movie? And being like, I'm Peyton Reed, the fucking director. What are you talking about? And it's like, oh, okay, cool. So like, what's new with like Ant-Man? And it's like, are you fucking kidding me? And so like, it's that same issue where you were watching, oh, they've got 1 million followers. That means that all the eyes will be here and everything will go copacetically. But that's the thing. People, that only works if that person has those eyes, but they're also good at doing the job. But a lot of times they don't vet them for that. They just say you got eyes. So that's all that matters. And that's when shit backfires. And we've seen it in acting too, where people are like, oh, so-and-so does a couple sketches here and there, but they're not really sketches. They're just them kind of dicking around, but they have 2 million subscribers on YouTube. So we're just going to throw them into this show or this movie. And then they are by far the worst part of it. So like, I think there can be a splitting of the difference. If you want to use that as like, a situation of, this is the thing that puts it over the top. Actually, their acting skills or their hosting skills are the same, but this person has 1 million subscribers. Let's go with them. That would make sense. You know what I'm saying?
Which is why I was eyes to the thing.
Which is why I was always confused with the nonsense about people being really upset about affirmative action, because the whole point is supposed to be, if everything is equal on paper, but then one is a white dude and one is a black dude, then just by the nature of that, because it's like, hey, maybe they don't have as many opportunities, or that is what that was supposed to be. That is always, it was never supposed to be, oh, that black guy, like this white guy is rated at 100, that black guy is rated at 55. Give it to the person rated at 50. That's not how that works. It's literally not how that's supposed to work, because typically before that, I don't know, we got super political about this, but that's on me.
You brought it up.
I did. That's on me. But typically before that, it would be like that was the old joke about the old boys club. So it would be a situation where it wouldn't be qualified people across the board. The black person would be more qualified, but the white dude, it's his uncle's company. So he went with his nephew. And so it's that kind of, connection. So I genuinely hope that the studios will wake up before they find themselves in another nightmare scenario where the things they could rely upon to not piss off the talent, to be able to get the proper questions asked, to not run off at the mouth, to not make pranks that like become legal issues. You know what I'm saying? That they find a way to figure that out.
Yeah. But I also think there needs to be a healthy respect between the two. And that's what I think is missing and becoming an issue, and that the studios benefit from, is that there are critics who look at influencers, they look down on influencers. My brother Jeff on the hot mic, he certainly has some strong comments on certain influencers and the influencer culture and all of that. But by the same token, there are influencers who scoff at critics and buy into the hatred fans have developed for critics on certain things. And I think there needs to be a healthy kind of break from that. And each one go to their corner, calm down for a sec, and then come to the middle and go, okay, what can we agree on? What can we respect each other about? I get it. You know what? Your voice carries weight because you've mastered the social media game. So respect to you. Just don't call yourself a critic because you haven't done the work and the knowledge and the study and the experience to become a critic. You can criticize things, but don't call yourself a critic, right? A reviewer, a pundit, fine. And then on the same token, the influencers have to respect the fact that there wouldn't even be influencers if they weren't critics. in the movie space, because critics were the original influencers. People bought magazines, bought newspapers, listened on the radio to hear what their big name critics said about a movie or about a TV show or about a play. That has always been they're the original influencers. So this is, to me, just a slamming together of the old and the new, and they need to find a way to come together so they can work on it, because the studios will be more than happy to keep driving the wedge between both and favoring one over the other and keeping that discontent going, because the last thing they want is for influencers and critics to get together and tell the studio, fuck that. You're going to do this and you're going to do that, and you're going to respect our spaces. So that's the thing that I see as a way out of this issue that's going on.
I think the smartest thing and the people that will really get over, and it kind of almost falls in the sense of like when you look back at like Christian and Mark when they kind of started off themselves, the smartest thing that I could see happen would be for an influencer, like a solid influencer, to team up with like a solid critic. And to become that tandem where the influence, like the way you used to watch, Jobs would be the face and the talking piece, and then you had like Wozniak and everybody else. I know that went a little sideways, but typically
Wozniacki,
you had Jobs being the face and the mouthpiece, and you then had the the person that actually knows the tech deeper than Jobs did. And I think it was Cook for a while, to let them be the kind of the business kind of whatever. And when you marry the two of those together, you are then asking for a recipe for success, because then you have somebody who truly understands filmmaking, TV making, how to properly critique scripts and acting and production. And you're marrying it with somebody that understands the business of getting your face out there. Because to be honest with you, half the problem I have with a lot of the critics that are out there is the fact that they're not in tune with society. They are just all up in their own shit. And so then they want to get bent out of shape when somebody else, like you said, has figured out how to do it better. So like, that's even the argument we have about political candidates. You could have a situation where, like, for example, Elizabeth Warren, in my mind, is one of the smartest people we've seen in Washington, but she doesn't have that charisma to capture people into what she's trying to say. Not the way that you need to on a mass scale. That's literally why Obama was as successful as he was, is because Obama was not only one of the smartest people in the room, but he's very good at giving empowering speeches, getting people hyped up, etc. And if there's something he doesn't know, he goes and gets a smarter person to help him do it. You need to be able to understand that workflow.
I think that's a great point. Like, if you had an influencer and a critic, two different perspectives, two different approaches to a movie. Great. What's your issues with the movie? This is my issues with it. Okay, understood. But what I saw was this, and what I took from it was this, and what I think might appeal to people is this. And so you're getting a good, more well-rounded approach to how you're viewing a movie from people who are involved in the social media world, and then people who are involved, who only veer into the critics world. So you've got a good mixture in an audience. I think that's a really smart point you make there, Winston. That's a way to present a much more rounder point of view on a movie, and feelings about a movie, for sure.
Because I think the other element of that, the influencer is going to be closer to what the general audience tends to like, right?
Yeah.
And so when you look at a situation where, like, I just opened up Rotten Tomatoes right now, and where you end up having that massive divide between the critics liking something, whether robustly or not, and then what the audience likes. So, like, for example, they both agreed at 98% that The Wild Robot is fantastic, right?
Yeah.
But then, like, I look at Twisters. Twisters has a 91% on the audience side, but only 75 on critics. You know what I mean? It Ends With Us, 57% on critics, 90% on the audience. So, like, I think there is something to be said about having those two voices, because I'll make the argument, because a critic is too close to it, they really don't know what the people want and like. They don't. They don't. Yeah. Thinking about it from terms of, was this a good movie from top to bottom, but not, is the audience generally going to enjoy it? And then vice versa. A lot of the influencers and the general audience might just go, I had a good time, but they couldn't be like, and this was a good movie, this shot was beautiful for this or whatever. Vast majority don't. I think that marriage would be really smart.
Yeah, agreed. Because critics will tell you exactly how to analyze the film. You don't have to agree with their opinions, but the good critics, you can follow along with how they're analyzing a movie influencers can break down why this movie is going to appeal to a lot of people in the ways that it can. So great points you make here, Winston, for sure.
Because
Yeah.
last one, I'm just looking and I'll close up Rotten Tomatoes. Five Nights at Freddy's, critics pandered the shit out of it, but it made hella bank because the audience and the fans that love that franchise, those video games and all the lore and all that, they thought it was fantastic. So like, that's all.
Yeah. No, totally. We got 150 you all watching us right now live. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it madly. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel down below. And Winston, before we jump into our next story, where can they subscribe to you, brother, and hear your thoughts on all things going on in the world of entertainment?
Absolutely. You can go ahead and find yourself mosey on over to youtube.com/theswaggyblurred. I put out a blurred breakdown about 2 days ago. As soon as we wrap up here, I'm gonna edit a little bit. I gotta head to my other job, but I'm gonna edit. Got another one coming out later this evening. And for whatever reason, I'm having some upload issues. You can also check tomorrow morning. I might put it out in the morning, but I'm gonna try and get it out for you this evening. This one I like to lean into on Fridays. Watching more videos, doing "Am I the Asshole" reactions, all that kind of stuff. I do have to do some Diddy updates, but you know, because he's a sick fuck. But,
we're certainly going to talk about it. Yeah, sure.
But other than that,
go ahead. Other than that,
no, that's it. That's it.
Fred says someone needs to unplug Winston and plug it back in because he's stuck in quote country mode. There you go.
The hat's hot and the headphones aren't working, so I'll go ahead and turn it back to myself.
Who are you telling? I've fought many a match with sweat dripping into my ears. Let me tell you. All right, let's move on to this. This is really curious, Winston. I want to get your thoughts on this. It's fascinating. This has become a little bit of a drama this week. Cynthia Erivo is blasting, quote, deeply hurtful fan art that obscures her face in the promo material for the upcoming Wicked movie adaptation. This is from her. These pictures on the screen right now are 3 pictures that appeared in her personal Instagram stories. She shared these lifelike fan illustrations on her IG stories on Wednesday, but she called out the fan edit that rubbed her the wrong way. In an altered version of one of the film's promotional posters, Ariana Grande's Glinda whispers into the ear of Elphaba, also known as Erivo, whose face is concealed by her witchy hat. Though the real poster has Erivo staring down the camera, the edited image aligns more closely with the Broadway musical art. She says, Cynthia Erivo, "This is the wildest, most offensive I have seen, equal to that awful AI of us fighting. None of this is funny. None of it is cute. It degrades me. It degrades us." And she said, "The original poster is an illustration. I am a real-life human being who chose to look right down the barrel of the camera to you, the viewer, because without words, we communicate with our eyes. Our poster is an homage, not an invitation to edit my face and hide my eyes to erase me, and that is just deeply hurtful." So, Winston, I absolutely get where she's coming from. The erasure of Black women, certainly that's a massive part of entertainment. By the same token, I can also understand why the fan wanted to do a fan art here in homage to a musical that they have probably loved for many years. So, what are your thoughts on this? What are your feelings when you hear Cynthia's comments about all this and what she shared there on Instagram?
I think that I fully understand.
Okay, both sides.
No, I was gonna say I don't know if I agree with her.
Okay,
but I understand. And what I mean by that specifically is just the idea that, like, take for example what has gone on with John Boyega and Finn. And that mainly from the standpoint of it wasn't anything here necessarily in America, though there's its own level of nonsense. It was based on China. That China doesn't really rock with the idea of like, with the exception of like a Will Smith or anything like that, they don't rock with the idea of like the black faces and stuff like that in there. They don't care about that. They don't want to see it, etc., etc. So like from its own level of racism against Black people. So like, they redid all the posters to just not include Finn on the poster and shit like that, which is nonsense with him being one of the central characters in the story. So to that point, I do understand what Cynthia is upset about here, especially because she is the star of this movie.
Yeah, she is.
So she is the focus.
Yep.
And so there was a very intentional decision to show her face. It's the same reason why you watch a lot of superhero movies and you don't necessarily see them with the mask on most of the time, because it's like, now I'm the movie star. You want to see my face so they're recognizing it and whatnot. So I get all of that. At the same time, it is not official promotional stuff. It's clearly a fan who really loves the Broadway musical, so they did their own rendition of it.
Right.
If you saw a push out of nowhere from the studio being like, "Ooh, we like that better," she has 1,000% reason to be upset. But because it's just a random fan thing, unless people are taking that image and then tagging her and being like, "Good, that's better," unless it's something like that, I just don't fully agree with her. I totally understand where the frustration and the hurt is coming from, but I don't necessarily agree if that's what's going on.
Yeah, it's a situation with nuance, right? Let's bring these pictures up again. On the right there is the original movie poster, and you see that, you know, she's got a little smirk on her face, and Glinda is whispering into her ear. What she's whispering into her ear, we'll get to in just a second. But then you see the movie poster, and Glinda is whispering into her ear, but like she's pulled away a little bit, and she's looking right at the camera as if to be in legion with the viewer. Like, me and you are together. Look at my face. I'm reacting to what she's saying to me. Can you believe it? Right? So I see the fan edited one here, making her lips red, covering up her eyes. And it is a bit of, I can see how she can feel that it's erasure. But if you look at the hand has been moved, Ariana Grande's hand, to match the original poster. In the middle area, that's the poster that's out now. But on the right is the Broadway poster, and on the left is the attempt to imitate the Broadway poster using what's been out there. So I absolutely, as you said, totally get where Cynthia is coming from. But I mean, you have to pick your battles. Is this the battle? Is this the right battle you wanted to have in this situation about the erasure of Black women in entertainment or in our society? I don't know, you know?
I hate that, like, I got so behind on work that I didn't actually ever record and put out this. I was doing a series called A Thread, and it's me essentially talking about a particular element in pop culture, in the entertainment industry, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And the very first one I did was about, I want to say it was about if movie theaters were dying. The second one I did was about like the Drake and Kendrick beef, and how, as good as it was for hip hop, the fact that, like, if any of the allegations were true that Kendrick was beating his wife and that Drake was a pedophile, instead of doing something about it for either one, we're just waiting until we can use it for competition. Like, it's stuff like that. And so this particular one was called Stop Crying Wolf, and it was about when English Teacher came out, the FX show.
Yes. Yeah. It's just wrapped up its first season. Yeah.
It just did. Fantastic show.
I loved it. Great show.
It was great. It was great.
Yeah.
There was this number of Black folk on Twitter who got hella mad. White folk always got to turn around and just take something that Black people doing right and then just make their own version and have their rebuttal and blah, blah, blah. There's a number of reasons why that's hella problematic. First of all, the only thing that they have in common is that they both take place in schools. That's it. That is it. One takes place in Austin. One takes place in fucking Philly. One takes place in the hood. One takes place in suburbia. One, yes, does follow a Black woman in an inner city school. The other one follows a gay Latino man. He's not even white. So this idea to be like, you're trying to white, no, they're not. They literally are covering both what it means for him to be a queer man and like how he's getting slammed in Texas by it all the time. There's one, it sounds like you watched the show. So the one mom that is constantly giving him shit. She's constantly giving him shit. But then again, from the standpoint of also him being Latino and like having to deal with like young adult / teenage Gen Zers versus what is technically Gen Alpha and Abbott, like they are so vastly different. The only connection is they take place in schools. That's it. And on top of the fact that FX allows you to swear and do all sorts of stuff, and Abbott is on network, like how many goddamn CSIs, SVUs, NCISs, SWATs do we fucking got? You got 100,000 cop shows. You got an ER, a Grey's Anatomy, a Chicago Med. How many different doctor shows are there? The Good Doctor, that crazy motherfucker. And yet somehow, because you just happen to have a situation where it was a black teacher that came first, but now you have one that you perceive to be white, but wasn't, you're just going to be like, see this racism, they're trying to take something away from us. I need us to not do that, because then when it's actually serious, nobody's fucking listening.
That's
and
true.
To me, this is what makes me worried about this. If you had a situation where they fully changed her face, took all of her black features out,
right,
all that kind of stuff, they made it a completely different woman or something like that, I'm on board. I totally get it. The only thing they did is they changed it to really match both. There was a smirk on the original poster.
Yeah.
There was a red lip on the original poster.
Yep.
I think the one argument could have made to the fan, if you were really trying to do this, then change Ariana's crown, because you didn't change anything on Ariana. Change Ariana's crown to be a white hat, like in the poster. Like, if you'll bring it back up.
Yeah.
You see that? If she's got a crown on in the live action, but in the poster she's got a white hat. So if you really are doing this, then take it a step further. Maybe slide everything over slightly to the right so that you get less of Ariana's face, and then you could put a white brim hat out there, and then you've really done your full homage. Otherwise, the one thing I will give Cynthia, you only edited her. You did not edit Ariana. And so then I can give you that. But that is my main concern. We have to understand when something is perceived as a racist or a bigot or a homophobic or whatever type of situation, when it is doing so, but in a minor sense, which we should still talk about, but we don't need to get up in arms. And then a moment when it genuinely is a problem, because those exist all the time. And we need to save our energy for that, because otherwise, knowing where people are, they're going to just stop listening.
I mean, look how we're doing now, right? I mean, you talked about it earlier, Winston, the political cycle. Who isn't exhausted right now? Like, aren't we all? We are drained right now. God love the people working the ground in these battleground states. God love the people who are working these ballot centers of the early voting and all of that. But like, we are so exhausted, and this is another thing that we're so exhausted by, which is the people want to die on every hill. People want to die on so many hills that we're like being asked to look at it and take a look, and we just get a bit overwhelmed. And when you see something like this that is very clearly not intended to erase her or erase her implied blackness through the green skin, it just gets a bit confusing. Like, why? Like, why do this one? Why is this one such a big deal? I can understand you're mad as an actress. Like, you're saying, I am Cynthia Erivo. I'm the lead of this film. This is the biggest film I've ever done. I'd like you to not hide my face and my eyes. Like, I'd like to be seen. I understand what you're doing, but for me personally, I'd like to be seen. And Charlie XCX has a song on the soundtrack. She came out with a picture of herself in green skin with Ariana whispering into her ear, and Cynthia went, wow, ... Didn't say, wow, this is great, or wow, this sucks. Just kind of left it hanging in the air. So I just kind of look at it and go, I don't understand the logic. This film is already, in my opinion, going to have to push a massive boulder up the hill to be successful outside of the gay community and the women who are going to go see it. So the fact that you want to now add this kind of racial component to a fan who is just trying to match the original Broadway poster and was not saying, I'm going to remove all black women or fuck all black women. As you said, he would have adjusted her features to fit the face more cleanly, which is a much more angular, thinner face than Cynthia's face.
If you had done that, that would have been an argument there. I also think it would have been an argument if the studio took the fans' art and said, oh, we like this better. That also would be a problem. That would be a problem. But that's not what we're talking about here. This is just something that somebody did on their own. Now, the other thing that I will say, because I don't have the full context.
She shared it on a bigger platform. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
The other thing I was just going to say, the other thing that I don't have the full context for.
Yeah.
If you have a situation where this fan art went out and you then had a whole bunch of people be like, this is so much better. This is way better. This is infinitely better. That I also would say that she's in the right, and I would lean more to her side. If it's just out there like, wow, well done on doing them one for one. Like if that's all it is, again, I think that maybe she's getting a little too hyped up about this. But if it is a situation where people are like, good. We didn't see her face if that's what was going on. Because to be honest with you, not to always come back to this, but that in large part was the argument with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese.
Here we go.
It was tough. I know. We always got to find a way, right? But that's just because
who had 35 minutes on the bingo card. You win.
But again, I win. There you go. But think about it. A lot of what that was, the number of black folk that I truly know that did be like, no, Caitlin's really good. Yeah. But if someone's going to sit here and besmirch all these black and all these queer women, then they're gonna, unfortunately, whether they want to take that side or not, double and triple down, because it's like, no, this nefarious shit is what's pushing shit this way, so I have to push back. And I think that is ultimately the space that we're in a lot of cases, is that people have been so tied to their opinions or the side that they're on or everything else.
Yeah. And
that can be so geared into a bunch of that it instantly jumped, like everything that happened with Ta-Nehisi Coates in his book. The fact that it was a jump to, you hate Israel. He's like, nah, fam. I'm literally just saying I got to see stuff with my eyes. I'm just saying this is what is kind of going on here. And it was used as a linchpin moment to just see blacks hate what, like, it just, I need people to just calm down and use their big brains and not act like they only got one brain cell. Like, man.
Yeah. It's a shame. Again, it just puts a stain on the film, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. Let your work speak for itself in a situation like this. But look, Cynthia's her own person. She's her own woman. She's a strong black woman. Absolutely. Certainly, her opinion is her own, and she's allowed to express it on her platform as she sees fit. It's, and so I get it. I just don't know if this was the hill you want to die on. But this is one that I think she might have a little bit of and we'll do this real quick and we'll move on to the next story. Is she was a little bit mad about the AI on this, that I don't know if you saw this, Winston, but someone did an AI of the poster where these two end up punching each other. So I don't know if you saw this, but and this was in connection to
that I understand why she's pissed.
Yes.
Fuck that.
Because that's AI. That's her actual picture of face that likeness that they're using to do something like this with Ariana. And you could argue Ariana's face is much more obscured than Cynthia's in the space of the AI, but people are connecting it to a meme from 10 years ago when someone wrote on the subway on a Broadway poster, and it went viral. Elphaba, what is Elphaba whispering? And someone wrote, is your nether parts green as well? Right. So it was a meme. And Cynthia connected to the meme on her Insta stories as well, and it just added more fuel to the fire. But that AI thing, that's an issue to be upset about. Agreed.
I think if that was what all this was anchored in, she again 100% in the right, in my opinion, because that was literally what most of the strike was about. It's literally what we've talked about, how this shit is getting fully out of control. And to say, oh, it's just all in good fun, but no, you don't get it. Like, the one thing we've been concerned about is the idea that actors will be fully replaced and their image is used however people want to. That is a fucking problem. So that, if that is what set all this off, and then this just kind of added to it, by all means, then again, talk your talk, boo-boo. I'm right here with you, and I got your back, because the fuck the AI shit, bro. That is the shit that has me concerned, is shit like that.
I agree, brother. I agree. So we'll see what happens, but it's coming out soon, right? Like just a few weeks away, Wicked. So we'll see how it does in the theaters. Let's take a quick break because we're about to jump into some Diddy stuff. So we need a little rest here. We'll be right back.
I'm pouring another shot.
All right, let's get into things here, man. I don't even know how to walk into this, but we got to talk about this dude right here. This is a massive, massive story that is developing, that even over the last 7 days or 4 or 5 days has had more stuff added to it. We have a trial date now of May 5th of next year. But more lawsuits have been filed. A lawsuit was filed on October 14th for an unnamed woman who alleges Diddy invited her and her friend to a hotel room where he threatened to, quote, have them both killed, then fondled and molested and ultimately raped them back in 2004. A Georgia man working for a management company sued him on the same day, alleges that he was given a drug at a party through a drink that was hosted by Diddy that left him paralyzed and feeling he was trapped in his own body before at least 3 of Diddy's men sexually assaulted him. An Ohio man who worked in fashion at the time of Combs' Sean John clothing line alleges he was in a stockroom at Macy's when Combs and 2 large bodyguards approached him, hit him at the base of the neck, probably with a pistol, he says, and allegedly forced him to perform oral sex on Combs. Another woman sued him, saying that she was Combs asked to speak with her privately at a Biggie Smalls promotional party in 1995 before slamming her head into the wall and raping her. A New Jersey man also claimed that while he was working security, he was given alcohol and that was laced with drugs, sexually assaulted by Combs. And then another lawsuit by an unnamed North Carolina man who alleged that he was 16 years old and trying to break into the music business when he was fondled by Combs at one of the rapper's white parties, which continues to humiliate him. And then on October 15th, which is just 3 days ago, a woman named Ashley Parham filed suit against Combs in California, claiming she was, quote, violently gang raped by Combs and his accomplices in 2018 after she claimed on a FaceTime call with the Bad Boy Records founder that he'd been involved in the 1996 killing of Tupac Shakur. So this is just in the last few days. And if you do the timeline, it goes all the way back to the middle of next year, the number of accusations. I mean, it's like 120, I think, lawsuits or people who are accusing Diddy of doing this kind of stuff, dude. It's madness.
Yeah. So again, I can plug myself, the Blurred Breakdown over on youtube.com/swaggyblurred. So I've been covering this almost every single episode. I've done essentially Diddy or didn't he? Diddy watch 2024. So you can just kind of keep up to date.
Or didn't he? That's good. That's
Did
good.
he or didn't he? Yes. And so, I mean, the first part is you got Tony Busby. This is the same guy that was representing a lot of the women that were accusing Deshaun Watson.
Yes.
And all of that was going on. He gave a number of statements saying he has over 120 people that he's representing.
Yeah.
He had thousands. I think he said 12,000 calls because they put out a hotline to try and get people, and they took time to make sure they sussed everything out to make sure that each of the people that he's representing actually has something real there and verify all that. And then turned around and said, those lawsuits will be coming forthwith. He's going to be filing them, as many as he can at a time. But he also said we've sent letters out to people that have been named that were either accomplices or that knew and kind of helped cover it up or anything else like that. And if they want to quietly settle, then they have X amount of time to do that before they get openly named and stuff. And it sounds like a few, based off the reports, a few have already. Silently settled, and that's kind of off to the side. But as of today, to my knowledge, I believe there are 7 suits that are out. Because not including the federal case the feds case that has a trial date for the 5th. So of these lawsuits, you had first there were 6, and of those 4. You mentioned the gentleman at the Macy's. He worked for Echo, which was, for those that aren't familiar, that was actually a competing brand to Sean John. So that's what he actually was quoted in saying in the lawsuit, saying, Echo this motherfucker, and then proceeded to, face F this gentleman. While the bodyguards are holding out, it was mentioned. There was the other one you mentioned, the guy being stood over. There was another one of the 16-year-old where he was like, you look like you have the makings to be a star. Checked him. Then there was another one that was a part of the original 6. This was of a college girl who went to a party or a studio recording that was happening with her girlfriend, and then it was very brutally assaulted her and her girlfriend. Girlfriend got away. All of this, and again, I hate that I know this much about it, but to me, the reason why I think it's so important to know that, and I've taken the decision to kind of continuously report on it, is that what's driving me crazy is the number of rappers, which some of them I think are doing that because, they don't want to get caught up. But rappers and random black folk, oh, this is just another, this is trying to take down the black man. You get one successful black man, you're trying to take him down. There's too much evidence here so far. And again, this is all allegedly. We haven't gotten to these trials yet. Yes. But there's so much here so far. This is the same bullshit that kept R. Kelly from getting in trouble for years when he should have been dealt with very early on. Same with Bill Cosby. I need people that are good at what they do and also not fucking criminals to be our role models and our leaders and our people that we aspire to. If it is all true, and we have at least proof with Cassie, which is why I am more inclined to believe all of this than I am to say the feds are just out to get it and this is just a cash grab on Diddy. When you have that kind of information that's already out there and the things that not just white people, but black people have been whispering for years that Diddy probably got both Pac and Biggie actually killed and like called the number for them to do that, that there was something going on with people and all that, that every time someone was about to talk about Diddy, they mysteriously died from pneumonia.
Yeah.
It's all of that stuff that I'm like, nah, son, I need to know exactly what's going on. And I need to cut people off at the pass before they start with that bullshit that you just trying to take a black man. Fuck you. That is not what's going on here. It is very clear that this motherfucker has been up to no good. And the story I'm going to cover, I'll cover it a little bit more on the Blur Breakdown today. It came out from E-News Online actually broke this scoop that it allegedly now in one of the newest lawsuits, all those baby oil bottles had GHB in them. So he was specifically rubbing people with the baby oil and the massage lotion. So if you couldn't get them to drink, they were getting roofied by absorbing it through their skin. That is why he had 1,000 bottles of it, because he was literally using it to drug people.
This motherfucker is a black Caligula. If all of this is true, he's a black Caligula. So
again, that is all of this. So ain't nobody coming from the Rocha. This is all allegedly. This is all based
allegedly
on the filings of the lawsuits. But all that being said, dude, look at the videos. Look at the videos of Justin Bieber around Diddy and how uncomfortable he looks, because a child is not very good at hiding their face. Look at the interview with Usher where he's on Howard Stern. He's like, yeah, I got to see what life was like. Oh, your son is of age now. Would you? Hell no. Why did he so violently scream hell no? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's
It is insane. It is almost overwhelming, right, to think of the amount. And you have to wonder, why did the dam break? Was it the video of Cassie? Did that finally wake people up to go like, okay, we're all just going to come out and we're going to risk the ramifications? And I find strength in numbers because I'm not the only one. There's 120 of us. Now we can really go after him because he's still in prison, by the way. He is behind bars. He's not out on bail. They wouldn't give him bail. So this is going to be fascinating. If this ends up an Epstein situation, or if this is really him going to trial, and how many of these lawsuits are really going to, because I mean, the LA district attorney said they could not pursue it after that video came out against P Diddy, the abuse he did to Cassie, because they said the statute of limitations, there wasn't enough evidence and the statute of limitations had run out. And so the question becomes, how many of these lawsuits are really going to get settled? And I think of Deshaun Watson and how he settled all of those lawsuits. Are they going to be able to settle all of this stuff? Does P Diddy even have this much money to settle this many lawsuits? And what's going to be the end result? Because if this motherfucker gets 5 years for everything he allegedly did, if he did the things he's allegedly did, that'd be insane.
So a couple things just based on, and I will, next time we do one, buddy of mine is a lawyer, and I told him I was covering a lot of this. He's like, all right, well, if you need like an actual person who understands the law to look at it, you let me know. And I was like, all right, that's cool. But all that being said, there were two major things going on here at the same time. And I don't know if you remember this, John. I mean, the first is the case with the feds. They're doing RICO charges on him. They're saying you've got a full criminal enterprise, the trafficking, all that kind of stuff. So they're attacking him from a different angle.
Right. As
far as these lawsuits specifically, those are all coming from like, again, when you hear lawsuit versus criminal trial on this. I don't know if you remember, New York did a statute of limitations thing that they reversed, that anything within the last 20 years that people could, if they wanted to civilly sue about all of this, they were allowed to come back out and say it. And that's why all of a sudden You had Cassie was the first one, and then the dominoes kind of fell after that. And it wasn't just them. There was a number of people. I want to say there was one against Eric Adams, maybe, but he's got some other issues he's dealing with right now.
The governor of
but
New
there
York?
was the mayor.
The mayor. Sorry, mayor. Sorry.
Yeah. I believe, but I'll have to go and look. But there was something that New York did where they were like, we're trying to do what we can to help victims get justice. So they essentially allowed anything in the last 20 years to be in a situation of, literally that Jesus, my brain's not working, of being able to do these lawsuits. And so that's why all of these that like they may have happened in 2004, 2006, 2015, but it falls within that window of what was opened up. So that's why a lot of this is coming out in that regard. So no, they cannot criminally get him for those things. But if that's tied into the RICO charges, as far as that goes, that's a little different.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's claiming, of course, his lawyers are saying these are all people just coming for money, and he's said he did nothing wrong. He apologized for the Cassie stuff, but he says he hasn't done any of these things that he's being accused of, which is nonsense. And maybe that's a legal thing. You deny culpabilities, that gives you more time to negotiate settlements and whatever. But I mean, I kind of hate that there are people who are going to be able to settle this quietly. We need to know who was involved here, Winston. We need to know who went to these parties gleefully and happily enjoyed abusing people underage, sexually assaulting women or men, or both at the same time. We need to know these names. We need to see who these people are, because just because Diddy is out of the way doesn't mean they're not going to keep maybe setting up their own private little parties and doing their own little things with smaller numbers, but still abusing people who are underage, abusing people who are coming into the business who want to learn and want to get a leg up and think that a big star is taking a shine to them because they have talent, when in fact they're just being used to get raped. This stuff needs to come out. And I think it's bullshit that they're trying to settle on the side quietly with these people. No, they all need to be named. There need to be names in these lawsuits, much more than Diddy's name, because he wasn't alone. There was plenty of people who did this shit. I want names. I don't care if it's DiCaprio or Prince Harry or anybody. I want fucking names, man, because this is too much. I mean, Jay-Z sued Piers Morgan to stop mentioning him in connection to Diddy, but I mean, there's a lot of videos. LeBron is possibly, there was a lot of people making connections to LeBron. Wouldn't that be insane? So we need to know.
So, like, I think what's been going on in particular is I think that you probably have a situation where some of it is people that they were taking part in it. Some of it was people would have been at said freak-offs, but maybe they weren't directly involved in stuff, and they maybe kind of heard rumblings of, oh, there's some shit going on over there. And so your name's just involved because someone is arguing you knew, you were there, and they may not have. So I think part of that might be a situation, because again, the one thing we know is settlement does not mean guilt. Settlement just means I don't want to deal with the headache that is coming out of all of this one way or the other. Whether innocent or not, but like I think the bigger thing to know, and that will really come out of this, is less the lawsuits and more the RICO case, because the main thing I can see happening with Diddy is specifically, is he going to start snitching on people to cut himself some sort of deal? Because the RICO charges, you're talking about potentially, to my knowledge, I will verify on this, but the stuff they're coming at him for, like multiple life sentences. Like this isn't,
like in prison.
This is like some Al Capone shit. So like we'll see about all that. But yeah, I mean, when you look, because a lot of the photos that are circulating or whatnot are of the celebrity, because going to the Diddy white party was just like a thing. So there's photos of him hanging with Leo. There's photos of him with like everybody from Jay-Z and Beyonce to like
Ashton and Mila Kunis.
Everybody went to these things. It was like infamous. And that's what I'm saying is like, what's interesting is like hearing people before some of this broke, again, open secret that apparently everybody knew. Cat Williams said at the top of the, no, sometimes you gotta tell Diddy no, Diddy, no, I don't want to party with you. Like, and Cat literally or Marlon Wayans being like, yeah, no, I would be at the party until about 7 or 8. I'd either go to another part or go home. All the shit will pop off after I leave. You know what I'm saying? And so it's one of those things that everybody kind of knows, but like, you're like, hey, Don't get me involved, especially because the other thing, and this is where I give them not an actual pass. If you watch shit happen or you were sitting on stuff, the main thing that keeps getting called out is how Diddy was using violence constantly to get what he wants, beating the shit out of people, threatening them with their lives. So I can understand if someone's like, I really like, if now the case is popping off and you want to go be a witness then, but I could see why someone may not initially have done it because they're like, I'm not trying to get killed, especially if people keep saying the people that have tried to snitch on Diddy before aren't alive, or look what he did to XYZ. Like the fact that Suge being in jail, Suge a lot of times said Diddy did a lot of that shit because I know what that nigga did. So we tried to, not that Suge's innocent, he's not, but like, he's like, I'm bad, but I'm not Diddy bad, is essentially what Suge has been saying for the last couple of years. So.
Yeah, and there are stories coming out that allegedly that Biggie was going to leave Diddy and he was trying to find his way out of Bad Boy, and that may have been the reason why Diddy set him up, possibly allegedly, to get killed. And the same thing with Tupac. Those are all allegations. I'm not saying that's true. I'm just saying those are things that are popping up and you're hearing in the wind. And I hear your point. I mean, you can't just because you attended the parties doesn't mean you all should, your name. But was it his attorneys or one of the accusers' attorneys? I can't remember the attorney. She's a female attorney. She said there's someone even more high profile than Diddy on the videos doing these acts, performing and doing the things that Diddy is being accused of. These are the names we need. If there's video of you assaulting a woman or a man against their will in these parties, that shit needs to come out. Those videos need to come out and those names need to come out. If you were watching and you got scared and that's a whole nother ballgame. If you heard about it but ran and didn't want to get involved, that's a whole, because you could understand, I didn't want to lose my life that night. I didn't say shit because I don't want to be involved. We've all been in situations where we've seen some shit and we're like, I got to get the fuck out of here. We've all been, if you even a little bit wild, you've been in a situation where like, I got to get the fuck out of here. This situation is a whole nother ballgame. And if you were participating, I need your name and I need that video. That's all I'm saying.
There's a lot more stuff that's been alleged. Like I could go on for a while. I mean, you had a former bodyguard that's alleging that Diddy was very intimate with Meek Mill. So there's that, as well as TD Jakes. You have another situation where supposedly, it's all allegedly, that Diddy, the way he got Bad Boy Records started is he had in a room some major record execs, some investors, stuff like that at like a party.
Yep.
Same kind of drugging them situation. They ended up in one giant like orgy together and with the same kind of prostitute stuff and all that. Has them all on video, and it's like Bad Boy Records exists now, and y'all are in my back pocket. Otherwise, this video gets out. Like, you know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of talk, and that will all ultimately be addressed in these cases one way or the other about what Diddy did to get to where he is / what he was doing to control people and everything else, man. So
yeah. It's a lot, man. It's a lot. So just wanted to touch base on that as we go along here. Let's move on to another story here.
I gotta wash that away. I gotta wash that now, man.
Another shot. Oof. Let's see here. Keep sending in your Streamlabs and Super Chats, by the way, everybody. We got over 200 of you hanging out with us live here on a Friday night on the West Coast. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We really appreciate it. We haven't done the show consistently every week, so when we do the show and people do show up, it's always an awesome honor. So just make sure you subscribe to the channel down below, hit the bell button, send us your Streamlabs and Super Chats. We got about 30 minutes left, less than 30 minutes left in the show. So if you want a question answered by Winston and I, or a comment read for Winston and I to react to, please make sure you send it in. And you can go to the Swaggy Blurred YouTube channel to see more of Winston's analysis. Oh Lord! Oh boy! 3 shots in, we got the cowboy. It's on backwards.
Only two, Rocha.
Oh my! All right. So this Kendrick versus Drake thing, we're not done with it, Winston. Apparently, we're not done with these two mofos right here. First of all, real quick, Kendrick Lamar and Drake's beef is going to be a documentary on Channel 4, which is a British station in the UK. They are doing a documentary on this called Public Enemies. It'll explore why and how and why Lamar, the visionary poet from Compton, and Drake, the former child actor from Toronto, came to be universally acclaimed while contextualizing their careers throughout the contemporary history and culture which created them and exploring their beef. And then here's where I brought it, why I put this in the rundown. Drake apparently in Toronto this past Saturday made some comments, and he said, quote, "My real friends are definitely in the building, but I'm going to tell you, you're going to come to a point in life where people you thought were friends or people you thought were close to you, they might switch up, might stab you in the back. That's how life is. But look, sometimes it's you and you alone by yourself." And then he performed his take on Beyonce's Me, Myself, and I. And I'm seeing on Reddit, now I know Reddit maybe not always the most reliable source, that Drake, they said on social media that Drake posted some clip from a sports film or sports, something like that. And it was basically implying that people doubted him and he's on a comeback now and he's going to shock the world and he's going to go after Kendrick Lamar and he's got to reply. So why? And do you believe Drake will actually poke the hornet's nest one more time with Kendrick?
I mean, I wouldn't.
I know you wouldn't.
I mean, unless somebody just likes being, unless we found out he's a very particular type of masochist and just likes getting stung up by all these damn hornets. Like I don't. There's nothing about that sounds smart. But I also. I can't understand what it might be like to have your ego that smashed on, to have your name that become a running joke. Like the biggest song of the year has 10-year-olds talking about A minor. Like I could not even imagine what that would be like. Like Rocha, I get upset when like one or two YouTube comments go rogue. I could not even imagine the whole world laughing at you and singing about you being a pedophile. Yeah. And like, Lordy Jesus, man. It'll be interesting to see. I haven't heard what the new diss was. I saw that video of him talking about who your real friends are and all that. I did see that. I also heard, because I thought the angle you were going to come at was J. Cole, who decided to speak up.
I didn't know if we should talk about that, but yeah, go ahead, because I almost put that in there. Go ahead.
Well, J. Cole's ass talking about, well, if I had been in the rap beef, ain't nobody would have crushed me. I would have crushed everybody. Let's just be real. I just saw where this was going to go, so I was like, nah, son, nah. And I'm like, the song you put out was a good song, but I'm also like, no, don't do that, because you would actually earn a little bit. Like, I know people clowned you for apologizing and stepping back, but you would earn enough respect once people saw what Kendrick had done that they were like, you know what? Yeah, you're good, man. Don't even worry about it. Well, maybe we were wrong, that you understood that this wasn't a friendly little sparring match, that this was about to get ugly. So by doing this, J. Cole went from being like, he looked like the smart one, to be like, man, that nigga corny. Like, and I don't like that, because I like Cole. And I literally thought to myself, I was like, it was smart to get out of this. Yeah. Let them, like, you literally, Rocha, if it's me, like, I'm trying to remember who you hated in our Schmodown day, like, hated for real.
I don't like to say his name. But his name has the same two letters at the beginning of both of the names, so I don't like to say his name.
Okay, but, okay. So this other person with the same two letters,
B minor. That's what I'll say. Go ahead. Yeah. I think you know who I mean.
Oh Lordy Jesus! But to that point, that was that's a situation where if like we're all kicking it at like a Schmodown thing or whatever, and then you say something, but you like really, I'm like, yeah, both y'all motherfuckers, and then they say something back, I'm like, oh, they're serious. Yeah, I have to go. I have to go right now. Good luck. Yeah. Good luck with this. I just, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't. That is the only thing that I will say, and in regards to that, is that I feel like J. Cole fucked up and should have just been quiet.
Why speak on it at all? Why speak? Why would you want to catch strays on accident? I don't. That's Jay. What are you doing? Like, I get it. You want to keep the street cred. You want to be. I get all that, but like, man, why would you poke the bear or poke the hornet's nest just on accident, saying anything about it? It was like, you know what? It was their business. I left it alone. I don't know why.
Well, because when you throw in the fact that once Kendrick got the Super Bowl, which did we talk about the Super Bowl thing? I don't remember.
But bring it up. Let's talk about it.
All right. For those that aren't aware, it's been a while now. It's been a few months.
It's been a while.
The Super Bowl. It's been a while since I said sorry. Kendrick is going to be playing the Super Bowl halftime show this year, right?
Yes.
The Super Bowl is taking place in New Orleans.
Nothing says you won like being the halftime show at the Super Bowl.
Well, especially because I don't know the other coup de grace there, the like kind of little stab.
Yeah,
I don't know how much you were listening to all of the songs in the beef, but the starting point, first person shooter, which doesn't sound like a diss at all, but Kendrick took it as one, is Drake saying, "We bigger than the Super Bowl." Yeah, we bigger than the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? So to actually then turn around and play the Super Bowl is fucking crazy. But all that being said, people got mad because it's happening in New Orleans. How the fuck you have the Super Bowl in New Orleans? You don't put Lil Wayne up for the, Jay-Z is out there and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, this is where people are just ignorant to the whole situation because while I hear what people are saying, first of all, the Super Bowl's been in New Orleans for 10 different times.
I know.
Why are you just now getting upset because Kendrick got it instead of the idea of you could have been mad that Lil Wayne didn't get it the other 9 Super Bowls? Like at least 4 to 5 of which, to my knowledge, if I remember correctly, he was an active rapper at the time. So like he's still active now, but I'm saying like he could have done it any of those other times. So that's the first thing. At one of the, you didn't get mad at Beyonce because one of the ones that Beyonce did was in New Orleans. You didn't get mad to be like, you went with Beyonce, you didn't get Lil Wayne. I didn't hear y'all talking shit then. So that's the first thing. But the main thing for those that don't know how the Super Bowl halftime show and the selection works, it's very similar to the same way that you select an Olympic city, a Super Bowl city, a World Cup city, any of those or countries or cities, is that there are bids. An artist comes forth and puts a bid forth of this is what I want to do with the show. These are the accolades that I have. These are the things that I'm doing in life, both in immediately in the past and then what will happen or like leading up to the show and what will happen right after.
Yeah.
As a means to this is what would plug it and make it a big deal and et cetera, et cetera. Every single person that has played it, they have had to do some sort of pitch in order to do that.
Yes.
Kendrick not only gave the pitch of this is what just happened with the whole rap beef and everything, the pop out, first of all, was part of his pitch. I actually did this concert and see how it was a cultural phenomenon on Juneteenth, what that all means, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And everybody's like, when is Kendrick's new album coming out? When is Kendrick's new album coming out? A lot of the conversation has been from the standpoint of he is holding the album in order to wait either right before or right after the Super Bowl, again, as another fucking pitch on his thing.
Right.
Guess who didn't put a pitch together at all? And that's not on Wayne, because if he didn't know about that, fine. His managers do, because his managers and and all that, his label, they work with other people that have played the Super Bowl. So Wayne did not put forth a pitch to do the halftime show.
Right.
I have sources that work specifically with with not only musicians, but with the Super Bowl halftime show and everything else like that, that no pitch was put forth on Wayne's behalf. Yet Kendrick has literally, once the beef kind of it started to dust up, he was like, I know how we're going to end this. And they put themselves forth to do that. So you don't get to complain about you didn't put Wayne. Why wouldn't you pick Wayne when Wayne's team did not do what needed to be done for him to even be there?
Exactly. Okay, so I do want to reiterate this thing because I want to give the specifics real quick. So this is from a place called the newsglobe.net. Sounds legitimate. Drake's recent spate of new music releases might be more than just fresh tracks for fans. Many believe they're part of a larger fan to reignite his long-standing feud with Kendrick Lamar. The theory gained traction after Drake's late night activity on his secret Instagram account. By the way, I didn't know he had a secret Instagram account.
He has a secret Instagram account?
Yes.
Then it must not be a secret if everybody knows it.
It's at plot twist. It caught the attention of fans. A lot of tease. In a post that set the rumor mill spinning, Drake shared a clip from John Woo's 1987 action film A Better Tomorrow 2, featuring an intense shootout scene, leading fans to speculate that the rapper is ready to come back guns a-blazing, quote unquote, in his rivalry with Kendrick. Adding fuel to the fire, this is what I mentioned from the NBA. Drake also posted a clip of former NBA star Rasheed Wallace, Shady, confidently predicting a win for his underdog Detroit Pistons in the 2004 Eastern Conference Finals. The Pistons went on to secure the championship that year, and fans are interpreting this as Drake aligning himself with the underdog spirit as he prepares for a potential lyrical showdown. His most recent tracks, Super Soak, Circadian Rhythm, and No Face, have only intensified the speculation because they seem to be loaded with subliminal jabs aimed at Kendrick and other industry heavyweights. So, man, let's not do this again. I don't understand.
I mean, look, dude, when everybody tried to come at Kendrick because of the Wayne thing, Kendrick put out another song trashing the industry and their fucking nonsense. And again, I was like, that's what's funny to me. Y'all want to bitch and moan like Nicki Minaj being one of the more talented rappers that we've ever seen. And instead of getting on a track, because the last time she got on a track to diss somebody with Bigfoot, that did not go very well with her and Megan. That was like a really bad track.
Yeah.
Instead of getting on a track to go diss Kendrick, if that's really how you feel and being upset about Wayne, you're just on Twitter to what trigger, like as Drake used to say, trigger fingers turn to Twitter fingers. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's wild to me, man. It's absolutely wild to me.
Yeah. Shane Markel says, here's a question that I'd like to ask anyone. Pro beef. When has there ever been a direct rap beef between two people and it wasn't deadly serious? I don't know that Cool J and Mo D was ever serious. LL and Cool Mo D, like they had a straight beef at the beginning of because Mo D came out first, then LL came out, and Mo D took it personally because LL was the younger kid on the block, and they went back and forth, but it wasn't that serious. I also think, LL and Cannabis wasn't that serious.
I mean, Pusha and Drake wasn't deadly serious. It was serious. Yeah. It wasn't deadly serious. Meek Mill and Drake was serious. It wasn't deadly serious.
Right.
I correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember any violence breaking out between Jay-Z and Nas in their very famed beef.
Although,
but it was very serious.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, it was a murder. So I mean, there's that. That was a murder. But you know, Jay-Z came back like Jesus, and like
he married Beyonce. I mean,
so who won? I guess that's the question. Who really won at the end of the day?
Yeah, I think only Biggie and Tupac have ever really legitimately led to murders full on from a beef. And that's more tragic because those guys were friends, like legitimately friends. And things got twisted at the wrong time between the wrong guys. And they both ended up dying in the long run from that beef. And it's just a shame, So yeah, but no, I don't recall that usually.
You've seen that, right?
Good reference. Good reference. Jesus, good reference. Fredtastic says somebody. Oh no, we already saw that one. All right, so we've read all the super chats. I wanted to make sure we got all the super chats. We had one Streamlabs said what movie? Oh, from what? Matt at What Movies? What's up, Matt? He says, Rocha, I just want to say congrats on Critics' Choice. Thank you. It's well deserved. Winston, I've got 2 words for you. Bel Air. That's what he said. What was that all about? Is he trying to get you to review Bel Air?
We did a review, and I need to finish the very last part of our of the edit. I literally have at this point like maybe 20 minutes to do, and I need to do it. So he's mad at me.
Okay.
I understand.
I understand. Calm down, man. People get busy, man. Shay says, let me expound. Rap beefs happen between rappers that genuinely do not like each other. Sure, this doesn't happen between friends. They are all dangerous. No, friends get into mad. I mean, no one fights you worse than your friend does because he knows where all your bodies are buried and he knows exactly what to say at what moment to set you into the stratosphere. So I would disagree.
I mean, Kobe is Shaq.
Yeah.
Though I guess you could make the argument that they weren't friends. They were just teammates. They were friends later when they apologized to each other, but
yeah. Once both of them had won titles without each other, they were able to come back together as friends. But no, that's a crazy situation overall. Jorge and Esther says no round twos. Yeah, I agree, Jorge. No round twos.
Oh, that was Kendrick said that in his announcement of the Super Bowl. He goes, you only get one shot or whatever he said. He's like, no round twos, because at the time Drake was trying to like pump up a round two, but nah.
Don't waste your time. Fred says, being a Cowboys fan that just got punked by Detroit, I get where Drake is coming from. Oh, come on, Fred. Come on, Fred. Winston's on the show. There's no need for that shit. Come on, man.
Fred is also a Cowboys fan. It's fine.
All right, fine. Gerald Boney says NWA versus Ice Cube, Dre versus Eazy. This deadly serious thing is recent, right? Yeah. I mean, although Eazy and Dre, that was real. I mean, and it wasn't just Dre, it was like all of NWA, wasn't it? So yeah. So yeah,
it was mainly Dre and Eazy straight up. It was like, because if you remember, because at that point NWA had kind of dissolved because the Fuck with Dre Day was Eazy-E versus kind of Dre and Snoop. Like Snoop was on that track too.
Yep.
And to Fuck with Dre Day is such a ridiculous song, but I love
dude, that music video is even as good as the song. That they got
I don't think I've seen the video.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
I don't think I've seen the video, bro.
Oh my God. They get a guy to dress up like Eazy-E through the whole video. And he is doing some stupid shit. Like there's one where he is by the highway with a cardboard sign, run Joeing, saying, we'll rap for food. I was like, oh my God, it is. Yeah, no, that is a brutal takedown of Eazy-E, that track.
Right, I'm gonna watch that when this is over.
Yeah, you got to watch it. It was one of my favorite videos, man. It was so well done. All right, one last thing. Let's get into this terrible thing real quick because I know we got to wrap up. But this one sack of shit is defending the other sack of shit. Apparently, Trump recently was on Don Bongino and his show, and he was complaining about Harvey Weinstein, Dan Bongino. Sorry, Dan Bongino is if Roid Rage took human form. That's who Dan Bongino is. He's such a ponce, a fucking ponce. He claims to be alpha with all his muscles and yelling and finger pointing and all this shit, yet he genuflex at Trump's feet, which is nonsense. But this is what Trump said about Harvey Weinstein. He said, I was so amazed that Harvey Weinstein got schlonged. This is his actual quote. He got hit as hard as you can get hit because he was sort of the king of the woke, right? When the fuck did that happen? And yet he got it, and I figured he wouldn't get it hit so hard. So when they do get hit, they get hit, but that's the only one I can think of. Normally, they protect everybody. He's talking about the Democrats. What they did with Eric Adams is very suspect. So essentially, he was defending Weinstein and then also saying the Democrats, every time they've gone after somebody, it's been suspect. And it hasn't been authentic when they've gone after their own people. Never mind that Bob Menendez, Henry Cuellar was arrested and involved in stuff as well, Eric Adams. And when Weinstein was brought up to him, Trump said, I don't know him really well. So, I mean, remember, this guy was involved with Jeffrey Epstein. So what is this all about, man?
I mean, you know exactly what it is. This motherfucker right here, bro. He has been, he is a convicted criminal. Like we know this. We know this. So like, of course he's gonna turn around and everything. Nah, free my nigga Harvey. That's literally what he said. That's what he said. That's literally what he said. Like that's the whole thing. Hey, free my nigga. R.I.P. Epstein. R.I.P. Epstein. That's what he said. Great guys, wonderful guys. I have no idea. I don't get it. They were the best guys. They was at the best parties. Not as good as mine, but pretty damn good. he had a really cool island. I like my island better, but I did go to his island. Shouldn't have said that. Like it's blatantly obvious what it is, man. And like when you watch the rhetoric of the stuff he says, and I think the thing as disgusting as it is to hear him have said that about Harvey Weinstein, who very clearly did horrible fuck a railroading. It is clear that Harvey Weinstein did that shit. Go fuck yourself. It's the problem that like that rhetoric has been tied recently to him saying like, you know, we have the enemy within. It's worse than, you know, it's worse than Hamas. It's worse than all Americans. The worst enemy is the enemy within, and they need to be dealt with. Literally trying to say that the American people need to be dealt with. Like that's I'm not surprised by a single fucking thing. Oh, you know what we should have talked about? I didn't even think about, bro. We should have talked about Mr. McMahon.
Did you watch the documentary?
Of course I've seen it. It's fantastic.
We can spend 7 minutes on it. I know you got to go by 4:30, so let's go. What do you got on that? What are your thoughts on it?
I mean, look, I have known enough about like because I watched during the Attitude Era. That was the area that I was like heavily invested in.
Yes.
I knew that Vince was sketch. I didn't know how sketch because like here's the funny thing. The whole time you're watching, like, man, this is just kind of a creepy old man. Like, I mean, he's doing his thing. He's really about his business. He's a creepy old man. Like, damn, Shane just really wants to love his father, blah, blah, blah. And then you get to the last 20 minutes, like, oh my God, he's a monster. That shit, I literally felt like after being in a boxing match for 10 rounds, like we're at the last like minute of this 10-round bout. All of a sudden, like it's round 1 and you've been playing coy. Mean right hook knocked out in one punch. By the way, literally by the way, that you would see the stories that came out of. And then like first, like just the shitty kink of it all, where clearly this woman was uncomfortable being like, and then they can do whatever they want to you, and then I'll do whatever, and I'll just be over the side. I'm like, yeah, more. But then to know that it actually went from, you know, bad kink gone wrong to full-blown assault, harassment, and rape. Like, oh my God, bro.
Yeah. It's
Jesus Christ.
And you throw on top, you can tell his son is completely messed up by being raised by this guy with an overdeveloped need to be liked by him or loved by him. And Paul Heyman telling that story, how Vince told Shane, if you want this storyline to happen, I don't want it to happen, but if you want it, you need to stab me in the heart to kill me and take over the WWE. Here's a knife, do it. Like that. That's the kind of mania and maniac that you're dealing with. And I know most of the stories in this documentary series, but there were some surprises. And you're right. The last episode, when you see all of that all together, it is jaw-droppingly disgusting. And you're just like, and then I see people. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I was just going to say, I knew he was in trouble, and I knew that there was a forcing out. Finally, like he pseudo went out the first time. But once they started breaking down why, they were like, no, get the fuck out. I was like,
yeah, they forced it. And the fact that his daughter left when he came back, that tells you she knows what he did and all the shit he pulled. But like, she was willing to swallow it in order to keep her status in the company. But when he came back, that was it for her. So if I saw some people saying, oh, don't you think they'd make room for him to come back? I'm like, no way. No fucking way would he come back. Would be allowed to come back because it's flourished without him. They don't need him. They don't need him. He's an afterthought now. You know?
Yeah, no. They don't need him anymore. I mean, there is something to be said, and that's always the rough thing when people say like separating the art from the artist. I don't think you can necessarily do that with Vince is from the standpoint of, since he kept saying that Mr. McMahon character was that a character, but then the Mr. McMahon bit clearly bled into his real life.
Yeah, no, totally.
That it's hard to do that. But I think it was one of those situations where, like, for what he did for wrestling, that minor part of you can go, cool, thanks, but you don't need to fuck with him or give him accolades or praise. You can just go, yeah, it wouldn't be where it was if it wasn't for Vince, but we don't
100%.
Praise that. Right. You know what I'm saying? But we don't praise that man.
Agreed. 100% agreed. 100% agree. It's like kids who've been raised by a good father, then you find out your father, has been like sexually assaulting women around town or doing terrible things or whatever. You're like, yes, he raised me well, but I don't give him credit as a human being because of the things he's done. So it's kind of that kind of a situation, so you have to figure
Thank you
that
for
out.
reminding me I have a new episode of SVU to watch today.
Hey!
But the last thing I was going to say, just with the whole situation of the documentary, I didn't know because I fell off right around after the WCW was absorbed. So the WCW versus the WWF storyline,
the invasion,
which was
angle,
that was so fun for me. I loved that era, but that was around when I was done. I didn't know about Shane essentially being kicked out of the company. Or essentially leaving, but essentially being kicked out, and then his dad wanting I got this angle and bringing Shane back in that match, and I didn't know about him jumping off that crazy thing and how beat up he was, and at that point he would have been in like his late 30s. Lord knows what it's done to his body, and he's like, he finally hugged him. He's like, "Good job, son," and I'm like, "Nigga, what?" Like,
that's all it took. To get a hug from my dad. That's all it took. Me nearly dying. That's all it took.
That's crazy. If that's what it took to get a hug from your dad, is like I shattered my leg and I almost died and my, broke a couple ribs and my kids were terrified that daddy died. But no, I got a hug from my dad. I'm good.
Yeah. The thing that I hate that they brought up and didn't explore is essentially Vince saying that his mom sexually assaulted him growing up. Like they mention it, but they don't go into it. And it's like, this is massive. This is a massive reason possibly for why he turned out as fucked up as he was, because his own mother sexually assaulted him numerous times growing up. And they're like, what? And he spoke so glowingly about her.
It's two things. It was both that from his mom, and then his dad did the same shit that Shane got from Vince. The only difference is Vince actually did take the knife and stab his dad in the back to go good, and whatever, you know what I'm saying? Which is kind of why he was trying to push his son to do it too. The cycle, but crazy, man.
The trauma cycle, man. Yeah. But good documentary. People should watch it if you haven't watched it on Netflix. 6-part series. It's well worth the watch. All right, let's run through these. I know you got to go, Winston. Jorge Iniesta. Do you think Belichick can save the Cowboys? Belichick can save the Cowboys next year. Do you think he'll be the coach? Do you think he'll save the Cowboys?
Yeah, if they hire him, I think so.
I agree. Elusive Rock says, Cool J's Kango onto the tire on Modi's album cover, hardest silent diss. Right. Didn't Ja Rule versus 50 Cent get violent? I don't
think so. I could be wrong. It got really intense, but I don't think anybody actually got hurt. I just remember that Ja Rule decided to say Haley's name in a diss track, and Eminem got involved at that point. He said, "Fuck you."
Yeah. Big mistake. Shay Marquell says, rap beef has been deadly for 30 plus years. I'm not pro rap beef. They should compete in other ways, not beefing like this. It never ends in sportsmanship. I love you both. I'm off my soapbox. Sorry, brothers. No, don't apologize, Shay. You made some good points here in your own personal opinion. So,
I take that back. It did get violent. So it started with Ja Rule getting robbed at gunpoint in Queens by some 50 Cent affiliates. And 50 did not give a thumbs up on that, but it robbed their Murder Inc. chain. That I forgot that's what the whole Boondocks episode was about. And then there was a fight in 2000 of 50 Cent and Ja Rule. They had a brawl in an Atlanta club. 50 got it did get very violent. My bad. I was very wrong. 50 got stabbed, and allegedly Ja Rule was the reason. He had one of his people do it. Wow.
Ja Rule.
I did not realize that. I mean, dude, his thing was Murder Inc.
That's true. Ja Rule, man. Can we get some female rap beef? Like, when did the ladies get into it?
We did. We've had plenty. What are you talking about? The start of the year was Nicki Minaj versus Megan Thee Stallion. This is how I know y'all know. Man,
that's a great point. It's
just that Drake and Kendrick's just got so big, it got kind of pushed to the side.
Yeah. Right. Like Agatha Long is here, but so is the Penguin. It's kind of like that kind of thing.
Jesus.
All right, let's get out of here. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight, guys. We appreciate it so much. Thanks for the Streamlabs Super Chats. Thanks for the lively chat, especially on the side. That was so much fun to monitor as we were talking on these subjects. And a big thank you to Winston A. Marshall for taking the time to hang out with us tonight to do the show. Winston, where can they find you? Subscribe to your YouTube channel and see all the stuff you're doing, brother.
YouTube.com/swaggyblurred. I'm just looking at the clock and I'm monitoring traffic right now. I'm not going to have time to get this prep for tonight. So tomorrow we'll call it out. Well, no, it's not on you. The traffic got bad. We'll say tomorrow noon, I'll put it up there. And then following, I will go live for a little bit playing some Sparking Zero, and we'll kind of talk about the stuff that was up there. So tomorrow, youtube.com/swaggyblurred noon. Look out for that new Blurred breakdown. It'll be a fun one, and then a little bit of a live stream after the fact.
Wow. Respect. As for me, you can follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, The Outlaw Nation on Twitch, YouTube channel. Please make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel down below. Leave all your comments on all the things we talked about. And if you want to subscribe to the Outlaw Nation podcast network so you can hear the audio for all the shows we do, aside from the Geek Buddies and the Heat and the Hot Mic, that is all up there for you all to listen to. Thank you so much. Don't forget, Winston and I do Game Time on the Game Time Sports channel, which you can find by just typing our names out in sports. It'll pop up there. We do those every Monday or Tuesday, breaking down the week's actions in the NFL. All right, thanks so much. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy playoff baseball and see a movie this weekend. And we'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode here of Spill the Tequila. Peace.
Yeah. Money make the world go round. I'm trying to get it all right.